About 8 years ago, an artist who had been half of a duo called Coke Belda, I will mispronounce everything today, by the way, just so you know, released a solo album, the first of 4 that would follow, and a lot of single covers, as you can see on his Bandcamp page. Now, what made my ears perk up about this first solo album was a post on Facebook from David Mayer, who everybody knows was part of the Merrymakers. David gave a stamp of approval to this guy. I didn't know who he was. So I said, all right, I got to listen. David says he's good. He must be good. So that was enough for me. So after I sampled some of his songs, I contacted him and asked him for a download of his album. And he said, sure, I'll send it to you. And, you know, Coke Belda is my guest today. Hi, Coke. How are you?
Yeah, how are you doing? Thank you for having me again on your show years ago, you know.
You're welcome. I'm running off at the mouth here. You know, and the thing about people when you don't, now that we have Zoom, there you are, you know, there's no guessing what you look like.
That's true.
But, you know, I thought, who is this guy, Coke Belda? Is he like some old guy, you know? He works like a construction job during the day and he makes records at night and on the weekends. I don't know. So I didn't know anything about you other than what I heard. So, and then, you know, I reviewed it and we played songs on radio and all that. So what I heard was a fully formed performer and writer. So this guy's got nowhere to go but up. He's already there. I know you're going, yeah. But, and the Beatles did, yeah. So you're in good company, you see. So anyway, I was immediately hooked. So I've been continually entranced with his music over the years. And now his 5th solo album has come out, which is the second in a series of CDs or albums, let's call them albums, celebrating the music of the BeeGees. That's just out not too long ago. And I'm thrilled to have him back here on Pure Pop Radio in conversation to talk about his wonderful body of work. Let's talk about your body of work. And now with video, see, the last couple times it's been your voice.
Now everybody can see that you are right. I'm an old guy. Construction.
You're an old guy in construction. Okay, good. I didn't know that, but thank you for confirming that finally. So let's throw a little bit of background out there for people who don't know anything about you. So to talk about, you know, when I met you, you were one half of Coke Belda, and then you became a solo artist. So what got you into performing and then writing and doing your solo thing?
To start the solo thing was, I think it was circumstances of life, because I'm from Spain, as you know. I'm from Valencia. I moved to Madrid when I met my wife, and then I played with bands all the time, and I had people, you know, playing with me. I could write songs with somebody else, like in the case with Roque Esteban, which is the half side of the Coke Belda band, right? Once we moved to Germany, totally by myself there. I don't speak the language. I'm just working at the office speaking in English, but when I go back home, that's everything I know. I don't have, you know, friends that play music or that I can really get in touch or play together. And if they do that, they talk in German and we cannot communicate. Sometimes music doesn't need that part, but you know, it's needed at least to explain what do I want to do. So I feel like I'm already by myself, right? So that's I think it's a good point where you find yourself like the people around you are not in your place, let's say the same place that you are. So you just need to start doing things by yourself. And it's a life changing because, you know, it's totally different. I missed being with Roque and I miss being with bands. But at the same time, you get used to be by yourself at home and recording everything yourself, and you get a little bit better because you practice more by yourself. It's a sad story, but it's reality. Also changing on the materials and devices we have at home is easier now, right, to record and with more quality than in the past. 15 years ago or 20 years ago, I still have, well, not here, but in my house in Valencia, I have my 4-track cassette, and then I moved to a 4-track mini disc recorder, and then suddenly you get a computer and Pro Tools and Logic, everything comes, into play. And now I can probably trick your ears and you think that I'm playing drums, and actually is somebody in a little box that I have here. So all those things also make possible to make better records by yourself at home.
But it's interesting to note that, you say you're not actually the drummer as per se, but you got a little box, you got a program there, and you can program the sample to sound like what you want. But it's still only as good as you are, as you are as the live player, because you have to make that, drummer in the box sound like a good drummer. And your drummer parts sound good.
No, yeah, more or less. And I like to play drums, and when I can, I record them live. And if I have an electric drum set that I can just plug into the computer, so I really have to play. But then you can, just get things a little bit better if they are not perfect. But yes, that's true. I mean, you cannot just take that program and create amazing drums. You have to work on the drums for days just to make sure that you have everything you want for the song. And that happens with every instrument, right? You play now keyboards and you can do, now I'm going to do a mellotron. I don't have to have a mellotron. I do it with the same USB keyboard that I have for pianos and for any other sound that you can imagine, right? So except for guitars, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, and bass and vocals, everything the rest normally is already type of software way. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was just watching online a concert by the Analogs. Do you know the Analogs?
Yeah.
And they go out, according to what I read, they go out and they buy original instruments. They buy an actual Moog. They buy an actual whatever it is, so they can be as close to the original sound of the original Beatles records. They play all Beatles stuff, in case somebody doesn't know that. And the thing is, if they need a cello player for 2 bars in a song, a cello player runs on stage, da-na-na-na, bye, and then leaves.
Yes.
Or the upper register piano notes on whatever, I forget, Obladi, I think. Yeah. Towards the end, they had I don't know, some guy, a gaffer, somebody in the back. He comes out and he goes da 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 da, and then he goes like this and he runs off again. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your musical influences, and anybody who listens to one of your albums can probably pick a lot of them out. But I know better. I know more. So obviously, Paul McCartney is your hero, as he is mine. You love the Beatles. You love the Cowsills.
I do.
You do, and the BeeGees, of whom we will speak, and Jason Faulkner. Let's not forget Jason. You love his music too. So you've done these 2 tribute albums with the BeeGees. In fact, your most recent album is the second in that series. But I was interested to know, now it's 8 years since your first record came out, almost this summer. Yeah. It'll be 8 years. Wow. Jeez. And are you still mining the same influences, or have you gathered more influences that maybe subconsciously, and maybe you haven't thought of it, but that you're incorporating into your original songs?
That's a very good question, just because maybe because all the music, the new music that you listen to now, is more or less has the same musicality, right? It's power pop or pop. It's hard for me to listen to something way more different than what I'm listening to right now. It's true that if I want to get new sounds or new influences, I probably have to go back. Like I told you, one of these days we've been talking. This past Christmas, I got the Tears for Fears boxes, this really great deluxe edition boxes, and then I listened to them, and then that 80s sound, become part of me now again. That probably that was lost many years ago. then I was listening to Tears for Fears, and then I thought about Talking Heads, because I saw this Utopia show that David Byron does in Broadway, and I saw that show in HBO, I believe. And then suddenly I was listening to Talking Heads again, and Talking Heads has anything to do with Jason Fowler, Jellyfish, right? So suddenly I still have Jellyfish and Jason Fowler, and I think that's already is sticking in my brain, and they're never going away. But suddenly some new sounds of drums and guitars and way of maybe to recording vocals comes from David Byrne or from Tears for Fears. So yeah, I still got some influences, but maybe not from new music. But if I go a little bit back in time and I revisited all records that I used to like, but I don't listen to them that often.
Well, it's interesting because these single covers, and you can see these on Coke's Bandcamp page, that you've done over the years are interesting in the wide breadth of choices. I mean, you've got everything from the Cowsills, a cover of Poor Baby, great song, Poor Baby. And then you covered a Weekend song. And I think about the time that you covered the Weekend, and that's Weeknd, I bet a lot of people didn't even know at that point who he was, because he didn't really get the major publicity until a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean, at least I didn't really know very much about him. I thought you misspelled the name.
I think actually I did misspell the name. I mean, when I was in Bandcamp, when I just wrote the Weekend, like a regular Weekend, I didn't even know that it was not spelled without the E. But that's the way that I believe that the music or how we listen to music should be. It's like, I remember exactly, my father was visiting me here in the US, and we were in one of this, that you have exactly 300 million sports bar here in the US, right? That you just go and have some chicken wings or something, and there is 1,000 TVs with games and all this stuff. But anyway, the music was there. There was some music in the background. we were talking about stuff, and that song from the Weekend was on that in that bar, even with everybody talking and all the 1,000 people there. I just recognized the melody, and I said, that's a great melody, and I don't even know the band. And then actually I asked my daughter if she knew the band, and she said, yeah, that's the Weekend. So
of course I know the Weekend, right?
And then we went home that night, and then I looked for it on YouTube, and I found and I said, this song, you may not like the production, you may not like the band, you may not like how it sounds, whatever. That melody is a good melody for a song. So I think I can just show it to you or present this song to you as a more pop or power pop. So maybe you would say, oh, if that will be your song, I will love it. So why do you love my cover and don't like the original one, right? So without the original one, I could not make never the cover. So that's what I'm trying to do with every single cover that you see on my Bandcamp. That's why it's so broad in bands who go from Weekend to Jim Croce or Cowsills, and then suddenly Tears for Fears. It's just because it's not related to the band; it's related to the song, which I believe that is worth for the people to listen to it.
Well, isn't that great though? That's the thing about covers. If a band does an album covers of another band or just different songs from different bands, if they're going to cover it exactly like the other band did it, there's really not a whole lot of point to it, because you could just listen to the original. It's like, unless you can cover the Beatles and really do something with a song. Yeah. I mean, the original's always going to be better, and it's got nothing to do with the artist who's covering it. It's just the way it is. It's just the life.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's fully correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the songs you've recorded. I picked out one basically at random from each of the albums that you've released. So from Coke Belda 1, and I like your creative album titles. Coke Belda 1. But you did change things up a little bit, made it harder for me to pronounce it the second time around. Numbers Way.
Yeah, it's Nummer 2.
Right, I was close.
Very close. That's a German way.
Yeah, I was within about 400 miles of that. But anyway, I know it's German, so that's 1 point for me. So from that album, I chose 2 hours to talk about.
Okay.
What I love about that is the arrangement. You've got that acoustic guitar thing going for 4 bars at the beginning, and then you get the bass and the drums kick in, and it sounds completely different. It's a whole other attack. And then you get into the song. So I love, and then you do that again before the last chorus, I think it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where you go from softer, the same thing, from soft to not louder, because it's not heavy metal, let's face it, but or hard rock even. But it's an interesting way of arranging it. So you change it up for the listener. Also, you make it more interesting for you to record it. So talk about that one.
So yeah, I have to remember, because that song, it's a long time ago, but I think that song, I actually should have the demo somewhere. Well, not the demo, but I was actually, when I wanted to tell you about this, not only with this song, but probably with every single song, how they start. And this song probably started the same way as, or I'm walking down the street and suddenly a melody comes to my brain, and I have to record it with the phone, and I just have the melody, and in my brain I do have what the harmonies are going to be, but that may change in the future, because when I arrive home, probably I forgot about it, but then I listen to the melody and I put something else on top. Or sometimes they come from a guitar riff, right? You're just playing and you put like a capo here or a capo here, and you just try, and suddenly, I like this chord and I like this chord, and you see that they can work. And I believe that one, I have to remember, I don't think I had the melody. I think I had that guitar first. That's what I had first. And then that's everything starts from there. It's like once you have that you just keep playing it and playing, and start thinking about melodies on top until you get to the right one, or the melody that I think is the right one. Probably there are 1,000 melodies you can do with the same chords. And then the structure, music is maybe not mathematical, but close to math sometimes. That how the structure is going to go already, and the regular pop song is going to be a verse with maybe drums and guitars and the bass, and that's all. And then second verse, you need to put something else, right? Just because you're not going to repeat. So maybe you put a background vocal there, or maybe a tambourine. Maybe then the chorus comes, and then you fill it with electric guitars and more stuff. And then you go back to the first verse with maybe something more on top, and then you do final 3-4 choruses, whatever, unless you want to do a solo. So that structure is already there in the world. I think most of the people we follow that path, right, or that template. And this song, I think, got a little bit like that. So it started, as you say, just a little softer, and then maybe not heavy, but a little bit more powerful in the middle, and then you go back, and then go back to the end. I don't know if I explained it very well, but
no, you did. Sometimes
it feels natural where it is going to go, and you can force it to go to somewhere else. Like I always thought, I'm going to make a song that is going to start very powerful, and then it's going to end just with me and acoustic guitar. Like I'm going to do backwards. I tried it like 1,000 times and I can't. So I always do the opposite. I just start a little bit softer, and then you keep building, and then probably you end in a big splash at the end, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, let me ask you this about when people started recording back in the olden days. They had tape, and if you wanted to incorporate something, I mean, this is before computers. I mean, you'd save the little tape and maybe you wanted to insert that bit in another place. You can hear on Roy Orbison, "You Got It," that record.
Sure.
You can hear at the end, there's a very obvious splice in there. I don't know whether they did it on tape or what, but boy, every time I hear it, I cringe, because it's like, dun, 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 you got it. It just kind of boom, it's right in there.
It's right there.
Yeah, I think somebody was getting a little too cringy with the cutting. Yeah. But is there, now that you have a computer, you have computer programs, there's basically no limit to the number of tracks you can put into a song. I mean, you can go on forever. How do you know when, like, okay, Koke, that's enough?
Yeah, it's you have to put a limit in your head. If not, it happens in. You can see the difference in my first record to my second record. My first record, it was like experimenting. First time that I was recording by myself. It took me maybe more than a year and a half, just because I don't know, a couple of hours today, and then a couple of hours next Saturday, and then in 2 weeks I don't do anything, and then suddenly I play again, and then you don't have an end if you don't put a deadline to yourself, right? And that's why you hear the songs and they get more parts. Sometimes you hear, I don't know, the C in a piano for a couple of minutes, and then it comes back to the song. And that disappeared when I did the second one, and disappeared even more when I did the fourth one, because I'm thinking more like, this is going to be my song. It's going to start and end in 3.5 minutes, and I'm not going to go around unless the song needs it, right? But it's because I'm going to finish this record. For the Coke Belda one, I didn't have a deadline. I was just playing and playing, and it's true. Now you're at home and you can do whatever you want. Actually, you can copy your voice and multiply by 100 times, and you can do a record of you saying the same thing over and over, and it will be exactly the same. Just copy and paste. It's like copy and pasting a Word document or an Excel file. So sadly, and I guess that sadly that is possible today, because what you were saying before, in the past, you cannot do that. You have a band and you have to rehearse the song 1,000 times, and then you record it as it is. And there is no way, well, you can start making cuts afterwards, but you're going to notice, you're going to see that there was a cut there. Maybe you record it again and the tempo is not perfectly right. But now there is no way that you can miss that. The tempo is there, and the program says you are in 82 beats per minute, and you cannot go outside of that. So it's easy to cut and paste, because you will never notice. So I don't really like it, because it sounds like more artificial. But that's the challenge now, is trying to make it as human as possible for you to listen to it, knowing that there is a lot of artificial things inside of a record.
Well, it's interesting to me when they re-release records today, and some albums have been re-released 100 times, it seems. We found this tape, and now because we did this and that magic dust on it, now you can hear a guitar in it you never heard before, and that's great. I mean, we all enjoy that kind of stuff, obviously, but when these records are made the first time, you don't have that option. I mean, a listener doesn't have that option. The option is there are 10, 12, or 14 or 15 songs or whatever it is on your album, and they're going to hear them the way you mix them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a lot of brain power going on there, I think. Okay. Well, so now from the German named album, notice how I didn't even try that time.
Yeah. Whenever I have a book about me, sometimes, someone will write a book about me. He will say the German years or something like that, right? Same as the Beatles, like Hamburg days. It will be my German days or my German years. Yeah.
Right. Like, that second album you made, the one, I don't remember how you pronounce the name. Well, let me tell you about it. So this was your second solo album, and you got people to send in pictures of them in the pool, which was cute, for the art. I wanted to talk about Hold Me Tight.
Okay.
That's one of my big favorites of yours. Everybody loves that song. An upbeat, happy sounding pop song, great, really rich harmonies, like 1,000 voices, it sounds like in there, and a very catchy melody. The chorus is especially catchy, and I love that chord sequence. You can't go wrong with that chord sequence. It's a pop, a great pop thing to do. Talk about that one. I mean, it's not a very complicated song, I suppose, but now that I said that, I'm thinking, well, it sounds easy because he's good at doing it. You know, otherwise, if it was that easy and everybody could do it, everybody would do it, and everybody's records would be great. So,
Yeah, that's a good
talk about that one.
No, actually, Hold Me Tight was easy. Actually, yes, was not a. I didn't work. I remember most of the songs of the record. I do remember going on purpose, like every Saturday after lunch or in the morning. I would tell Veronica, "Hey, I'm going to write songs." I actually went to another room and I just play guitar and play and play and play and play until I have something. And then I recorded in parts, and then I put them together and make the number two. But when I was already recording the CD and I had almost everything done, I can't remember. Maybe I had 11 songs or maybe I had 12, and then Hold Me Tight was one of those songs. I'm not going to compare to yesterday, but the concept of that a melody comes to you, you record it, you think that probably you have done that before or maybe not, but I played to Veronica and she said, no, that's a new one. It's a good song. And it came in, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes just with the guitar, and I just play guitar and play and sing, and suddenly that song just comes out of you. And that was the last song that I recorded for that record, and I did it in probably one day because I knew that the song was what it was. I didn't need to put a B part or a solo guitar or anything at the end. It was like, it's clear this is a pop song, it's a single, I'm gonna say, and you're gonna have the regular structure, and this is what it is. So it was really, really easy, and that also sometimes helps because you hear that the song has maybe this freshness that other songs lose when you work on them and then revisit them and then revisit, and then you lose that first listen of that song that is like, oh, okay, that was a good song, and now it sounds a little bit maybe, I don't know, forced to be something. Hold Me Tight was not. It was like 20 minutes recording one day, done. And of course, it's like everyone is like, oh, that's the one that I like from the record. So okay, thanks. So
well, doesn't that happen all the time? I mean, you always hear people, saying like Jeff Lynne says, "Yeah, I wrote that. It was 6 minutes. That's all."
Well, it happened very often to John Lennon and Paul McCartney. It happens often to Jeff Lynne. It doesn't happen very often to me. So I wish it happened a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, if it happens once, you're one ahead of me. So that's good. Does anybody ever say to you, "Boy, I love that song. I especially like the way you sound like fill in the blank, like artist, or it reminds me of this song or something," and then you go, "That never occurred to me." Does that ever happen to you?
That happened to me. Yes. I have a very good friend. I'm sure you know the guy, or you know his band. His old band from Madrid, the Winneries.
Oh yeah.
My friend Javier Polo. He's a bass player. He used to play with me in the Beatles band that we had, and he has a very special ear to recognize influences in your songs. And I remember it was one of the first records. He said, "Oh, that's exactly sounded as Gilbert O'Sullivan." I was like, never occurred to me that I can sound or that song like him. And I checked his songs and it was like, yeah, it reminds me, but to him, but it's not exactly what I was thinking of, right? But yes, that happens sometimes. Someone comes and says something, it's like, no, I don't think that was my intention. But Hold Me Tight, just to finish with that one, is interesting because you will never think about, because the song doesn't sound like them, but the lyrics, which are not great, they come from Libertine from Utopia. So I thought about the concept of the song Libertine. I can remember very well, but it's like they're in a party and Libertine is there and he can see her from far. I can't remember very well, but it gave me the idea of being in a party, and I saw Veronica from far, and then I got the guts actually to talk to her, and then the rest of is history. But sometimes it's like, okay, the music may be something, but the lyrics comes from totally different thing that you will say. Utopia, Libertine? No. So yeah, that's the case.
Well, I remember I interviewed Ben Folds in kind of a hurry up and walk with me fast thing after a show that he did that I went to. And he, in those days, this was right at the beginning when his first album came out, and he was his own roadie. He had to pick the piano up with another guy and put it into the U-Haul. And he had this beat up old piano, which I think then he put in his practice room later on, years later. But anyway, he's demonstrating to me, you know, I said, well, where did you get this style from? How, you know, why do you do that? And so on and so forth. And he goes, well, he says, I love Joni Mitchell's piano style. And you won't hear it in any of my songs, but it's there. It was in my head, you know? And so he learned from that. And I said, well, that's one influence that didn't come to my mind, but I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, well, I'm going to skip ahead here. We'll do BeeGees after this, but to Coke Belda 4, and boy, you know, I could have picked pretty much anything, but I picked the first song, "Thank You, Paul," which really, Coke, you have to admit, was inevitable. You know, at some point you were going to do something like that, and it's very, very catchy. It's not maybe as Beatlesque as you might think. It's more Wings-esque, I think. But the interesting is you weave a whole mess of song titles of McCartney's into the lyrics. So, you know, catch them all, folks, and win a prize. That's you know, pretty much the deal there. So talk about putting that together. And really, did you put sort of a wall in front of you that said, you know, I want to do a lot of song titles, but I'm not going to go past here, because maybe it'll be too much at that point. You know, how do you construct a song like that and know when enough's enough?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, too. Yeah, Thank You, Paul. Obviously, as you say, was inevitable. He had to come one day in my life, and also comes from the past with Coke Rock. We used to do mashups of songs and try to mix sounds of one song inside of another. So this one, I had the idea, instead of doing with sounds, just to make it with the lyrics, and it was fun to do. Yeah, but this one builds also from the. I think I had the melody first without any. I didn't know it was going to be about Paul when I did the melody. I was walking on the street and I said da 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 da. That was what came to my mind, and I just record that. And then, yeah, as you say, it's not very Beatles, but it's more Wings. That's what I wanted to go a little bit more with more crunch guitars, like the Wings Over America era. And yeah, and there was a moment that I had to stop putting layers, because the song is not easy. It's pretty complex. It has some harmonies there. They are not easy to manage. But again, I don't know. I think it's not. Again, I told you earlier that maybe it's mathematical. Sometimes it is mathematical, but your heart, also your brain, says, "Hey, this is enough. I think you have already what you want." And that's how it got to say, okay, no more layers, no more instruments here. And then picking the songs for Paul, what I did actually is I do have my best of, right, like everybody, best of McCartney in my iTunes folder. And I just went through the list and I said, I want to use the song titles of the songs of my greatest hits. I don't want to put any other song of any other era just because it fits to the song, but I also want to put the songs that I like. So if you hear the songs and you know all the songs probably you do, those are my almost favorite songs from Paul McCartney, which is, I don't know, it's interesting, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have people said anything to you about it? Like, I mean, does anybody ever say, well, gee, I love how you incorporated all those song titles, but why didn't you incorporate, you know, that one, my favorite song, you didn't put in there?
Of course, that's what everyone does today, right? You go to Facebook or any other social media and you say, I love this song from Tears for Fears. And then the first comment is always, I like it, but I think this one is better. And then they put whatever they think is better. And it's like, okay. And then someone comes and is like, I agree with you, but I think that this one is my particular. So yes, I got that too. I got that too. It's like, oh, I love this song. Why didn't you put, No More Lonely Nights? It's like, well, I didn't have the space. I don't know. I really don't have a good reason. Probably it's not because it's not that I don't like the song or I like it. It's just because, didn't get into there. But yes, of course, you always have the typical people that they want to put whatever they think is better.
Well, you see that on in Facebook groups all the time for a certain type of music or a band.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Boy, I really love this song," and everybody goes, "What are you, nuts?" You're like, "Okay, all right, done. Thank you very much. Thank you."
Exactly. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you for contributing. Don't come again. Thank you. Okay, so now you've done 2 albums, album-like tributes to the BeeGees. Your third album was called Coke Belda 3, and then in parentheses G's.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very clever. And that was in 2017, and then just last year you did Coke Belda 5, which was the second BeeGees tribute. Of all the songs you did, and you have a lot of my favorites, plus some that I bet some people aren't even going to know from the earlier years, before Run to Me and all that stuff, all the orchestration songs at the beginning. You did one of my favorites. I love the way it sounds, though, and I used to hear it when it was out. We were in England at the time, in London, listening to Radio Caroline, which wasn't so easy picking up, I got to tell you, on the little shortwave radio I had in the room. But anyway, it was all over the radio. You Win Again. It's so effortless. It sounds like they recorded it in 18 minutes and then that was it. It's so catchy. The chorus is so catchy. But what you've done is you slowed the tempo down a bit, just a bit.
Yeah.
It's not as industrial sounding with that industrial thing that the BeeGees do. I've listened to it a couple of times. So you slowed the tempo down a bit and maybe just a little more. I was trying to think of a word to put in here so it didn't sound too bizarre, but tenderness. It's more of a upbeat love song without the industrial percussion. It's interesting the way you did it, and another great job on the harmony. So really an overall question is, that one was pretty obvious. I figured you were going to do that one. That's one of the ones everybody likes. But how did you decide which ones not to cover that you really wanted to in the worst possible way?
So which ones I didn't put, but I wanted to put there?
Right.
Okay.
But you didn't choose them.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a great question. So yes, the BeeGees tribute has two goals, right? First one is I just want to pay tribute to this band and tell the world that if you haven't listened to the BeeGees because you think that the BeeGees are staying alive only, then you're mistaken. You have to study the BeeGees. Actually, is for me probably the top 3 bands of the world for me are there, and it's crazy when I hear people, they create their 20 best bands in the world for me, and they put Beatles, of course, and they start putting Stones and Kings and Small Faces and Manfred Mann, and it's like, if you put a Small Faces and Manfred Mann, all those are already behind probably the creativeness and greatness of the BeeGees. The BeeGees are way above that. They have done way more songs, better songs. They have lasted longer. They have influential way more people than any other band. I love Small Faces. I love Manfred Mann. I mean, I really love them. I will never put them in the top 3 above the BeeGees. Even the Stones. We can have a good conversation there. But so the first goal is, hey, if you haven't listened to the BeeGees, just do it. And you can listen to my record first. And if you like it, just go to the originals, or don't listen to my record, just go to the originals and like the BeeGees first. And then come to my record and at least you will hear a different cover of the songs, right? So that's the first part. And the second part is up to the BeeGees fans. that there's a lot of people, they say, yeah, I love the Bee Gees. And then you say, okay, do you like Coleman? And it's like, I've never heard of it, right? Is before even the first record. Or no, it's because I love the first 3 records and I don't listen to the rest because
Right.
everything is disco. It's like, well, if you didn't get to Main Course, you didn't get to Life
2 years on.
or 2 years on, or even past that, Living Eyes, or there are things that they are amazing. If you're neglecting those records just because you are cool and you want to be the 60s guy, you're wrong. I want to show you that those songs are also worth and very good, and that's why I don't put the hits, because to listen to the hits are first hard to cover because they're very good songs. It's like covering the Beatles. And second, I don't maybe put you some doubts in your head like, oh, I didn't know this song, I didn't know this one, so I'm going to look for them. And those are my 2 goals of the Bees. I don't know if I made somebody, I heard about some people, they came back and they say, oh my God, I never heard this song before and it's great. So that was exactly what I wanted. It's not listening to my record, is discovering the Bee Gees and putting the Bee Gees in the level that they really deserve. Right?
Well, you tackled some songs that, I mean, there were a couple. Coleman I really wasn't all that familiar with, but I mean, they put out a was it 3 albums, I think, when they were just kids in Australia that are unbelievably good. I mean, the songs and they plus, the voices maybe a little higher, but aside from that, the songs or the songwriting was already there. It was there right from the start.
I don't think I'm going to do anything else, but if there is a volume 3, it could be only songs before Bee Gees first, and that will be a great album. I promise. They have not 30, but maybe 12 or 14 songs that they are worth to revive and to recover, as Coleman or Claustrophobia, which was in the first my first tribute.
Well, I don't understand, and in fact, there was just a discussion online about this, and I try not to get involved in these things because I fall down the rabbit hole and I'm done. I just get beat up. But people say, well, I stopped listening to them just before Saturday Night Fever because everybody knows that stuff stinks. No, it does not. First of all, here's the thing, folks. If you're out there, you're listening, you're hearing this, those songs were already done. They were already written before Saturday Night Fever came around. They'd already changed their style.
Yeah.
And so Barry Gibb found his falsetto. That falsetto made, it bought him some big houses. I mean, and the songs are great. Night Fever, any of the songs really, You Should Be Dancing. It's not my style of music necessarily, but damn if that thing isn't catchy.
Yeah, catchy. And How Deep Is Your Love, which probably is one of the songs that everybody will say, oh, this has been covered 10,000 times. I don't want to listen to it anymore. I will give all my records, of course, and probably all my records that I can make from now until I'm 80 years old. Mm-hmm. I will give them all if you give me the writing, the possibility to write a song like How Deep Is Your Love, which is a 100% perfect song. You may not like the piano or the keyboard or the style of the moment or how this, doesn't matter. It's the perfect melody, is the perfect chords, is the perfect structure, and it's what it is. And if you don't listen to it because you don't like the Bee Gees of the disco, you're missing a piece of history. It's a masterpiece from music history. That's clear.
Well, an album that people always discount, or not discount, but just don't talk about really, is Main Course. And you mentioned that. Main Course has like 100 great songs on it.
Oh my God, it's the best.
Like the best Fanny, Be Tender With My Love. I mean, is that one of the great songs of all time or what?
And again, I could cover all that record and everybody will say, oh my God, what a record, what great songs. but you have the original there. Just buy it, and now you can probably buy it for $5 or $6 anywhere. The vinyl is everywhere. I don't know, whatever you want to do, and it still sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can get it for $1.50 online with $8 postage.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So there's a little of that give and take there. Okay, so that's on the 3Gs, Coke Belda 3Gs, and then on the second BeeGees tribute, you did a song. Now here's another one that a lot of people who they cut the BeeGees off right before Saturday Night Fever. The only thing about Saturday Night Fever that they remember is the shot of John Travolta's legs walking down the street in Brooklyn, and then stuffing a piece of pizza in his face. That's all they remember, and they go, I'm gone. That's it. No more for me. But this is a song that came much later, and it wasn't even a song that the BeeGees did. It was a song that was a duet between Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Islands in the Stream. And if anybody doesn't think that's a great song, you have to be really super talented to write something with that kind of quality. I'm sorry. That song's just off the charts. And you did it. Dolly was a little busy. I understand. You couldn't get her for the album. But you have a singer named Sarah Depp on there doing the Dolly parts. And she's got a voice, boy. That girl can sing. And you've upped the tempo a bit. See, here's what you do. You do these little subtle changes in the overall construction. It's not as, sort of like You Don't Bring Me Flowers, which is not a BG song, but, when they did that on the Academy Awards, when Neil Diamond came out and did that with Barbra Streisand, nobody knew it was coming. And they were looking into each other's eyes, and they had the microphones right up. The face was like this. Faces were like that. So you upped it and you changed the type of song it is, but still it's a great duet. So A, how did you find Sarah Depp? And B, how did you decide to do it just a little bit differently so there was some more of you in there?
Yeah, well, well, of course, Sarah Depp, which is amazing. I mean, it's crazy how she can sing. And when I got her tracks to my computer and I was listening to them, I was like, my God, this is perfect. What a perfect voice. Well, she was introduced to me through Keith, Future Man Records, Legal Matters from Keith. Every time that
shout out to Keith and Future Man.
Amazing, because every time that I need some help on things like that, I always go to him because I know that he's very well connected and he has that special taste that I need. And every time that he points me to somebody, he does it in the perfect way. So thanks, Keith. Thank you so much for this. And Sarah was amazing. And then again, the concept of the cover is more or less the same treatment I do with all the covers. Is just taking the basic information from the song, which is the melody and the harmony, which are amazing. The writing of that song is crazy. So it's like you can play it with an acoustic guitar, you can play it with a banjo, and probably it's going to sound also good. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do something more me. So it's just, a little more powerful drums, and then instead of acoustic guitar, when instead of clean guitar, just some crunch guitars, more distortion there, and then cover it with layers of background vocals and oohs and ahs and repeating stuff here and there. Very fun to record. There's always one thing my father always says to me when he calls me and we talk about this. Both BeeGees tributes, he says all the time, is like, what a fun time you must have when you are right. You must be having when you are recording these things, right? Because when you're doing your songs, is more between a love and suffer at the same time, because you are worried that your song has to be good, and what it's going to be, the people's going to think. You're going to think you're going to like it, you're not going to like it. But with the BeeGees, is no, I'm just recording things that I love, and everybody's going to love it because this song is great. So I just have to sing it and play it in the best way possible. So it's really true that you put a lot of pleasure and energy, because I really enjoy the time when I'm recording. So that also maybe you can hear on the records that it's like sometimes they call me, it's like you really put a really good voice here. And I was like, well, with my songs, sometimes I even have to read the lyrics because I just made them the day before. But the BeeGees, I know the lyrics by heart. I understand what they're saying, and I can put that extra feeling on the song because I really mean what they're saying. So that's what happens with the BeeGees. Is I could be talking about BeeGees like hours and hours and hours, as you know.
Well, there's no time limit to this show, Coke. If you want to keep going, go. Now we'll save some for next time. Well, they're both of the BeeGees tributes that Coke Belda did are fantastic. So, go to them. I wanted to talk briefly about mastering, because this is something you don't do yourself. I think probably if I'm just going to think like you maybe for a second, if I was making a record, I wouldn't want to master my own album, even if I knew how to do it, because it's good to have another pair of ears. I mean, and anybody who says don't master your albums, just get them out there. That's not the way to make a record. You need a mastering engineer. And you use Anders Hellgren, who used to be in Merrymakers. I actually met all three Merrymakers when they were three Merrymakers out in Los Angeles. And then all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore. But he's now got a studio and he's doing lots of great work. And one of the things he does is master Coke's stuff. What does Anders bring to your projects, and how do you work with him? I mean, does he send you something, you listen to it, you say, well, wait a minute, that little bit there, maybe could we raise that a bit? Or what kind of a collaboration do you have?
Yeah, it's been interesting, as you said, because we are so far apart that we have to do everything, virtually, like computer sending files. But it depends. Sometimes, as you say, you really need another pair of ears, because when you're recording at home, you listen to the song and you're playing and recording, and there is a moment that I don't hear my mistakes. I don't hear anything else because it's already the song. I know it already, so I don't see those little things that probably somebody will listen to it and say, wait a minute, that vocal is like totally out of tune. That happened to me. So and it's like, oh, that's right, and then I go back and I have to record it again. So Anders and now with the BeeGees, Nick Bertling did the BeeGees fifth, the second volume of. So both guys, they help you to do those things. It's like, this is what I have done, and I cannot listen to them anymore. You need to listen to them now with fresh ears.
And that's Nick Bertling you're talking about, right?
That's Nick Bertling with the BeeGees, and then Anders for the other records, and then you get that feedback from them back. Is like, okay, this song is great, just leave it that way. I'm just going to make it mastering, meaning better volume there, a little bit of compressor here. So but sometimes they go back and Nick says, oh no, that guitar, yeah, this has specific sound. Can you do something else? And then I go back and I mix it again. Then he sends me the master. I listen to it. It takes a while, and it's a tiring process. It's tiring because even if I like my songs, or I like BeeGees songs, you also get tired of listening to yourself. And now if I listen to Coke Belda 1, I will change things. But probably if I listen to BeeGees 5, it's too close in time to me that I'm still a little tired of it. It will, in time it will pass, and then I can listen to them again with, because I want to listen to them. But yeah, that's the process. We just send files back and forward and just give those type of details. Hey, this vocal is there. Maybe can you put it? There is 3. In my case, there is 6 background vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4, I can listen to them. 5 is a little low. Can you just put it on the limit of the 6, and then he does those changes. So it's great working with somebody else.
Would you consider a good mastering engineer almost like a co-producer in some ways?
The mastering, I think, is already late in the game. I would say that producer probably will change many things before you start recording songs, or during the recording. Mastering, it may change a little thing, but I think the producing is more related on the mixing part, or even before. And that's the part that I don't have, and I'm dying to have someone that can help me to do that, because I feel like I already hit the wall of this is everything that I can do. From the Coke Belda 1 to now, probably BeeGees 3, the 4, and the second volume, they already sound too similar. And it's because I have the same guitars with me. I have my bass guitar. I have the same computer. I have the same microphones. So I can change things, but I cannot do a revolution on my music. So probably if I go somewhere else, and then I don't know, I'm thinking about Andy Reid or Nick or something like that, right? That they would say, hey, I want to make a record. These are my songs with my acoustic guitar. What would you do? Probably that record is going to sound completely different as any of my other records, because I think I'm already in that limit. So I don't know what I will do.
Well, it's a lot of work. It's painstaking work, but it's also exciting too, right?
It is exciting, yes, but also scary.
Well, that too, yeah.
It's always scary because I'm afraid. I'm sure that if I had the time and probably money to hire Jason Fowler to produce my record, it's going to be an amazing record. Even if my songs are terrible, they're going to sound amazing. And I'm afraid of, because it cannot be Jason, it has to be someone else, that suddenly I give him a song and then it comes back and it sounds terrible, right? And I don't know if I will be able to say, I don't like this. I need to go back to my previous life or something. I don't know. So I have that point of, I don't know if I want somebody else to do something. At the same time, I think I have the need to do it. So it's kind of, I'm in a very bad position right now, Alan. Very bad position.
Well, yeah, but as bad positions go, it's not a bad position to be in. You know, it's not a bad position to be in.
That's true. That's true.
I wanted to talk also briefly about these single covers you do. If you look on Coke's Bandcamp site page, you'll see a whole bunch of covers. The Weeknd, the Cowsills, a lot of the bands on there. And then this one, which sticks out from all the others, it's so different. Well, some people would say the Weeknd was different, but this really is from a whole other world. In fact, it's almost 100 years old, this song, and it's "You Belong to Me." Tonight You Belong to Me, a song from 1926.
It's amazing.
I mean, you know, it's pretty old. It's almost 100 years old. And then, you know, Guy Lombardo everybody did it. 1956. A female duo called Patience and Prudence. And if that isn't the duo name of the century, I don't know which one is.
True.
And everybody knows. I think everybody knows. It's one of the songs like your parents played, or if you're really young right now, maybe your parents didn't play it. They were probably playing Motown or something. But in any case, it's one of those old chestnuts. You know, you belong to me. See what a great singer I am. So, but you recast it, as you do, you know, as a shuffle, a bit of a shuffle,
yeah,
and a modern shuffle, but subdued. It's not like it's not like that. It's much more subdued than that. But again, great harmonies. Now, where did you first hear this song? Was this something you heard as a kid, or what happened?
I probably, you're going to tell me that song probably is very popular here in the US. Probably is on the radio every once in a while on the 50s.
Yeah, oldies, yeah.
Oldies station, I don't know. I've never heard that song before in my life.
Wow.
Until probably was when I made the cover. And it was actually Veronica, my wife, that she came to me and she said, you have to make a 50s or, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s cover album, because there are a lot of songs there. She is one of the fanatics of Sinatra and all this, you know, very old music. She's older than me, of course, so very old music. So she really showed me a lot of things that I've never heard before, and that's also something that I really appreciate a lot from her, because she has really a lot of knowledge of music that you know I was not aware of. So, and she just played that song. She's like, it's like, have you heard this song? It's amazing. So you should cover this. And then I listened to it and I was like, yeah, that's a great song. I mean, it's amazing that I heard that song for the first time last year, Alan. It was like, what is that crazy or what? Probably, you know, and that song. And then I recorded, And then I play, put it on YouTube and Facebook, and everyone is like, "Oh, I love this song! What a great cover!" And it was like, "How do you know this song before?" And everybody was, I don't know, I felt ignorant not knowing that song before last year. But it's true. It's, yeah.
No. You know what? It's almost better that you never heard it until last year. It's one of those songs that has. There's a lot of depth to it, and it's like a lot of the early Everly Brothers songs, that they sound really simple. I mean, they really kind of do when they're being played, when you're hearing the record on the radio, say, or you're hearing it in your house or in the car. It's deceptively simple, is what I like to say about songs like that.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful song, and like I say, it's 1926. And it was recorded by and I'm reminded once again, digressing again, as I often do, that I've heard some records, one of which is a recording that Tiny Tim made. Tiny Tim was a guy who had like 1,000 songs in his head.
Yeah.
He didn't need sheet music. They were all in his head. He heard them once, he never forgot them. And he recorded this thing. I think it was in a bathroom in a hotel room that he was staying in. He just turned the recorder on and played the ukulele for 45 minutes or an hour. And it's one great song after another. And you wonder why people don't cover them, because they don't know they exist.
I don't think they know they exist. Yeah.
There's like gazillions of these things. It's like songs coming out on piano rolls or something. But you should do that.
I may. The only thing that from Tiny Tim, the best thing that I know from him is the Nowhere Man cover on the Christmas album from the Beatles.
Yeah, I every time I hear that, every Christmas when I play those Christmas records, I say, God, they set him up just so George could say, "God bless you, Tiny Tim. God bless you." It was, set up for a joke, really. But thank you, Mr. Harrison. Thank you, Mr. Weiss, for bringing. It's great.
Yeah,
I love Tiny Tim. I do. And I've done 2 shows actually on Tiny Tim.
Really?
Yes, 2 shows. I don't kid around. I'm telling you.
I could do at least 2 records of Tiny Tim, 2 tribute records.
Oh, well, that might be pushing it a little bit, but not much. Not by much. That guy was just an encyclopedia. He was just unbelievable.
I will work on an EP.
An EP. There you go. Go for an EP. That's good. So now you've got all this stuff behind you. I mean, I love your stuff. I did from the first time I heard it. I continue to thank David Meir. I just bow to him for making that suggestion 8 years ago. So what are you thinking of doing next? I mean, we just threw this suggestion out, and Veronica said, "Hey, you might want to do that." But are you going to take a break for a while, or what?
Well, what I found out when I finished the Numerus Vi, number 2.
Numerus Vi, right? Exactly.
Is that when, and I don't know if it happens to everybody. It sure doesn't happen to Andrew Taylor. He has 1,500 songs in his brain right now. But what happened to me is when I finished that, my brain goes into a block down and says, I can't write anything else right now, and I get into a little depression on. I put a lot of effort, and I'm not selling anything, and it's not because we talked about this before, right? It's not because of the money, but it's because of you put a lot of heart and a lot of passion in that, and then. Actually, I put a picture today on Facebook. You have to see is like this is where I keep all my Coke Belda records, and there is none on the shelf. It's like because really nobody buys them. So I think even if you don't want to feel bad or that happens, it makes you feel bad. It's like there is nothing that I can do. You try not to think about it, but it hits you. It's like. I put all these things, and I put like 6 months and work and put songs here, and okay, I got whatever it is, right? 100 views of a song. So it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Anyway, go to this block down and depression, and then I figure out that with this tributes records like the BeeGees, what it makes me is just keep singing and keep playing and keep recording, so I can get better skills on recording, maybe improving the drums and improving the bass and improving guitars and stuff. And there is a moment that when that depression and lockdown disappears, then the songs come to your mind again. New songs are coming, and then I have again that energy and passion. I can do it a little bit better. I think that is true from maybe you'd say is contrary, but I see an evolution at least in sound from Belda 1 to 2 to 4.
Sure.
Just improving sounds of guitars and drums and everything. So that's what I want to do. So what is now? Now I'm in the more or less post-depression lockdown after pulling two records together, the 4th and the 5th in a row in the same year. So I'm in that moment where probably I have to do something like the Tears for Fears cover that I just released, or I already have a project that I'm sorry, it's a secret, so I cannot tell you, but I'm going to record something doing covers of somebody. It's not Tiny Tim, sorry. I'm so sorry, Alan.
So disappointed.
just to pass this depression lockdown, and then whenever that ends, I can maybe think about doing new songs if they come to my mind. I mean, we'll never know. Maybe I'm done forever, or maybe suddenly I do better songs. I don't know. And one of the things that it really scares me is I think I know the level of my songs for me internally.
Mm-hmm.
And for this last record, number 4, I had 2 or 3 songs that they are fully recorded, and I'm not releasing them because I don't think they are in the right level of the rest of the songs. And I'm afraid that if I try to do a 6 record, the whatever it comes, if they are not in a level that I believe that they are still in my let's say regular level that I want to get, I may be a little bit more ashamed or to release it. So I don't know. But maybe is the post-depression Coke Belda talking right now. He's not maybe the joyful and normally I'm not this way, but I don't know. I'm having some doubts. But well, yes, I'm starting to recording some stuff.
You're too close to it. That's the thing. So you're very close to it because you're making them. But still, everything has to come in its time. When you're baking a cake, you don't pull it out of the oven with 15 minutes left. Otherwise, it's like in a Little Rascals, short. They take it out of the oven and it goes, woo, it flattens. So you don't want that either. So, but when it's right, it's right. And look, anybody out there who's listening, go to Coke's Bandcamp page. At random, pick a song, listen to it, and then buy it. Buy the album. They're not expensive. Buy the album. You will thank me forever, because I'm being honest. They're great records. They are that good. If I didn't have a radio show, if I didn't have an interview show, if I didn't have a website to talk about this stuff, I'd go on top of mountaintops and with a megaphone and I'd scream about this stuff. Because look, this is you can, especially during what I've come to call our pandemic year, even though it's longer than a year, but our pandemic year, extended year, is that there isn't a whole lot to do. And you get a little tired watching television, and you don't really want to watch the news. That's way too depressing.
Yeah.
And so you can read. Reading is great. I read a lot. But music is something apart from everything else. What can raise the hackles in the back of your neck? And a chord change, a key change. If you've listened to 10 Four Seasons records, you've heard like 40 key changes, because they all have like 10 of them.
Yes.
And they have those great, everything's great about this. Music is incredibly good. And imagine this. There aren't that many notes. On the keyboard, there's not that many notes. I mean, I was just counting in my head while we were talking about Islands in the Stream. There's like 9 notes in that chorus. That's it. Maybe 10, because they repeat. And then he very slickly adds another one onto the mess, brings it up a key, and it's basically the same thing, but He fools you into thinking it isn't, because that's how skillful it is. So there aren't that many notes, and out of that little, that little keyboard span of notes, look what comes out of it. It's amazing. There's no other way to put it. It's absolutely amazing. So, everybody has their favorites, but the great thing about music is you can expand your purview and find new people. And we all do it all the time. I do it all the time too.
Yeah.
I used to try to convince a guy I knew once to, I said, go to the record store. There were no CDs at the time, so that shows you I'm old. But you go to the record store and you look at a cover on a record and say, hey, that looks interesting. I'll buy that. Because chances are you probably will like some of it.
Yeah.
That's how I got into Kate Bush. I'd never heard a Kate Bush record in my life. And they had a copy of the Dreaming album, which I love now, but I didn't know it at the time. It was in a used rack. I pulled it out. I said, wow, look at all those instruments, because their instruments were listed on the back. And I'm like, that's for me.
I remember I went, had a band in Valencia. It was called Dyslexia. It was like a Green Day, more power pop Green Day. We were a trio, a lot of harmony and 3-part harmonies, and just 3 guys playing. And I remember that we were rehearsing, and then it was like, oh, let's go to the record store and buy something. And then we went together, and Roque, my friend Roque, he pulls out the Jellyfish Spill Milk. And we saw the cover. It's like, oh, that's a cool cover. It's like this. It sounds. I mean, we don't know the band, and then we just went straight back home, the 3 of us, and then we just lay down, and then Roque puts the CD there and start playing Spill Milk for the first time in my life, and we just look at each other after they finish the Hush and start joining a fan club. Dun, 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 dun. And then we look at it was like, what is this? It's like we just found the iceberg, right? Is the everything from there change it in power pop probably, and then from Jellyfish is like, okay, like now we have to start investigating, and from there you start moving to Faulkner and to John Bryan and to the Grays and to Manning, and then the Starmer, and then the Merrymakers, and then we are here. After this is from this 1993, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous that you heard it that way, because I used to work across the street from a Tower Records in Washington, D.C. And I'd go there at lunch. I'd wolf down my lunch in 5 minutes, so I had 55 minutes to look at CDs and records. And I went across, and they used to have in-store performances. Mm-hmm. So I go in there like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever it was, lunchtime, and there is Jellyfish with the first album with Belly Button. Nobody knew who these guys were, and Jason was on the stage with Chris Manning too.
Yeah, sure.
So it was the original guys. And they were just playing. And I remember Andy saying something. He was getting a little snarky because nobody was listening but me, I think. People were just like, oh, I'm going to buy this, go up to the register. And he goes, you should come see us at the 9:30 Club tomorrow night or tonight, whenever it was, because we're much louder then.
Yeah.
And they only did 2 or 3 songs, maybe 4 tops, and boing, they were gone. And that was the end of it. And I thought, oh my God, did I have copies of this thing? But as wonderful as that record is, oh my God, Spilled Milk, it's like a whole other world. I mean, it starts off with the lullaby, and then it, dun, 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 and the lyrics in that, joining a fan club, when I think of all the stamps I ate, it's great.
It's amazing. And of course, going back to the first part of the conversation we had, if you put on Facebook today, what a great album Spill Milk is, you're going to have at least, I don't know how many people coming, is like, Belly Button is way better. And I'm going to say,
yeah, then we're going to have to have
we're
going to have a fist fight. It's going to be Fight Club at that point.
Yeah. I tell you here in your show, that Belly Button is a better record than Spill Milk. Spill Milk
is a different record.
It's a different record, but it's not better. It cannot be better. Spill Milk is the concept of probably the perfect power pop, or power pop with whatever you want to call it, album, because it's more than power pop. It's everything. Everything is there. It's everything. Everything you want to hear is there. It's Beatles, it's Queen, is every single band that you can imagine, they're there. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, speaking of not crazy,
okay,
let's turn it on its head. Coke has agreed to do a treat. We're gonna have a treat for you. For those of you who you can't read, so like, shut up, Alan. I'm going to go to the Bandcamp page if you'll only stop talking. But before that, look at that. Coke's got a guitar in his hand, and he's going to play a song from Coke Belda 4. And over to you, Coke. This is going to be great. Coke.
Right. Let me try if I remember this, because again, think about post-depression time. Okay, lockdown era. So, okay, let's see. 1968, a magic year to celebrate. There you were with that big smile, and here I was, still unplanned. All my life is filled with joy. I can hear your whispering voice every morning by my side. This is love I can't deny. Do you want to feel the falling rain? Do you want to feel this love again? I can feel you breathing every night. This is how I dream to spend my life. 1968, a magic year to celebrate. There you were with that big smile, and here I was, still unplanned. Do you want to feel the falling rain? Do you want to feel this love again? I can feel you breathing every night. This is how I dream to spend my life. Oh, do you want to feel the falling rain? Do you want to feel this love again? I can feel you breathing every night. This is how I dream to spend my life.
That was fabulous.
Was it good?
Yeah, that was all right. Not bad.
Oh, not bad.
Not bad for a beginner.
Yeah, it's true. I started a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully you like it.
Yeah, you might want to go further on in the business. Yeah, that was 1968, a song from Coke Belda 4. They're all really, really, really great, and I'm telling you, you will love them. You will love them like they're your own. Go to Coke's Bandcamp page. If you want, you can go all over the place. Amazon, Cool Cat, Apple Music, everywhere.
Everything. It's like 39 platforms that I don't even have the names. So yeah, even I'm on TikTok.
You're on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Wow. They don't have like a clock in the corner when you're singing, right? It doesn't go tick tock like that.
But it's fun. It's funny TikTok because every once in a while I don't have an account, but of course my daughter does. So she said somebody made a video with your song. So it was like a Chinese girl using "Run to Me" or 2 hours from Coke Belda one just to create a strange video. My song is there, so it's like, oh, okay, wow. That's funny.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's really crazy.
Jeez. Well, that's something, you know. There you go. Well, Coke, it has been fantastic having you this is my first marathon conversation of the year. And I'm telling you, it's been fascinating and fun and enlightening. And everybody who sits through this is going to say, that's my guy over there, over there. One finger. If I go like that, then you're going to think he's both places, but he's right over there. And he really is terrific. So thanks for being here today. And, you know, good luck with everything you record in the future, because I'll be right here to hear it and sing its praises.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. You're a great guy, great friend as usual. And it's always lovely to talk to you. So anytime, I'm here anytime you need me.
Same back at you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.